Welcome back to The Line. Our correspondent Laura Paskus reported earlier this hour about the effects of New Mexico's below-average snowpack on the upcoming fire season. She has also been following the suit that Texas has against New Mexico, which had gone to the U.S. Supreme Court. The suit claims the state is not following the Rio Grande Compact, which requires New Mexico to give a certain yearly amount of water to Texas. The U.S. government joined in the argument, saying New Mexico was also harming its ability, meaning the government, to deliver water under the compact and, more importantly, under its international treaty with Mexico. The Supreme Court agreed, and now New Mexico will also have to take on the federal government in its fight over water. Daniel, former Attorney General Gary King started the ball rolling on this lawsuit when he first sued Texas over water a few years ago, triggered the current suit that landed in Supreme Court. Now Hector Balderas has taken ownership of this. He's not being shy about it. He says that we will continue to vigorously defend the rights of New Mexico water users, and quote, and work to seek a fair resolution. Do you see a fair resolution coming on the horizon given what we've got going so far? Or is New Mexico in a little bit of trouble here?
I think that we're always in a little bit of trouble when we get in a fight with Texas. I mean, they've got way more votes in Congress. They're way more money than we've got.
Yep.
I think it's also fair to point out that, I think former Attorney General Gary King kind of, if my analogy would be, he kind of went up and punched the big guy and ran away.
Right.
And then kind of left it for Hector to go, wait a minute, now they're really angry and here we go.
Right.
I think it's a problem. Water in the desert is a problem. Now when you start talking about the Rio Grande, I mean, we had those problems on the Pecos and what we were doing, and that was really New Mexico and Arizona. I mean, New Mexico and Texas. Right. You start bringing in the United Nations, you start bringing in Mexico, you start bringing in the federal government at that level. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for people in New Mexico. It's going to be tough for the growth in that Rio Grande corridor. Something's going to have to be figured out, because at the end of the day, like they say in New Mexico, they'll argue with you over their beer, they'll fight you over their woman, but they'll shoot you over water.
That's right.
And we've got some serious problems in this state with growth and where we want to go, and with industries. I mean, we look at the amount of water that Facebook's going to use to cool that plant. That's right there in the Rio Grande area. It's problematic. I think that the Attorney General is kind of in a precarious position. I mean, here we are, little New Mexico. Not a big budget, not a lot of stuff, going to the U.S. Supreme Court with the number of congressmen that they've got, with as much money as they got in the state of Texas, with the resources they got in the state of Texas. And it's kind of interesting, you talk to people from Texas, El Paso is not part of Texas until it comes to taking water from New Mexico. Right. Then we love the city of El Paso. Right. So, I think Hector's got a fight. The one thing I think before everybody gets freaked out, this thing's going to take 30 years to figure out.
That's right.
I mean, this is not.
That's right.
Most of us will be gone by the time they figure out what they're going to do.
But we have to
there
get
won't be any water left to fight over.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There'll be actually with global warming, there could be a lot of water to fight over.
That's right. That's right. It could be argued, Inez, though, that Dan mentioned the Gary King cut at this, that we brought a pop gun to a gunfight, right off the bat. You know what I mean? We really didn't put our best foot forward on this. Now
we said Barney Fife to a gang fight is what happened.
It just didn't quite work out. But here we are. And farmers and their livings are at stake, recreation's at stake. We've got a lot of different constituencies that could be impacted by this decision, especially in the southern part of our state.
No, definitely. And, if Gary King hadn't filed suit, Texas probably would have sued us. So eventually this was going to happen.
That's right.
Because if you're upstream, you can't take water that should belong to the downstream user, even if you're used to using it for whatever purpose.
Right.
So I think what we have to do as a state is consider what use we put our water to. And eventually someone's going to say, wow, we can't flood the fields to grow alfalfa to feed horses, maybe.
That's right.
Or maybe we have to spend more money, our infrastructure money has to be spent on conservation and reuse. Because if there's no water to send downstream, we're not going to have water to use, they're not going to have water to get, and we're all going to be in a mess.
That's right.
So attention has to be put from the governor on down, from the federal delegation, on getting money to conserve and to refresh the riverbed, so that whatever happens with a lawsuit, there's water in it, and that we can use our part that's fair, and they can use their part that's fair.
That's right, and include Mexico in there too.
And,
That treaty. Tom, overriding all of this, we've got a serious situation with the Rio Grande certainly being. I'll just use the word dry at some point here in the next couple of months. It's going to be a real difficulty. Our reserves are there, but reserves, just like money reserves, can only take you so far. And we're going to have to, Inez makes a good point, we're going to have to make systemic changes, it seems to me, how we use water up and down the corridor from Colorado south to Texas, and how it just passes through. We're in for a world of change here, it seems to me, with water, but are we up to the task to be able to do this?
Well, that's a good question. I think the key to solving it is, obviously one aspect is waiting on the rain.
Right.
Waiting on the water to return to New Mexico. But the other is finding creative ways to address the issue. And the San Juan Chama deal, for example, was a very creative way to address City of Albuquerque water issues. Right. And so I think that we're going to need to look at some additional items like that. I think this situation really reinforces the role of the state engineer. As it relates to economic development. There are parts of the state that have a lot of water, and there's some that don't have quite as much water. And then we have all of these other issues with regards to the state of Texas. So we have so many different variables, but I think we just need more creative thinking. I don't know what that looks like yet.
Right.
But whoever came up with San Juan Chama, let's get him on board again and say let's find out what we need to do.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Sophie, all the growth runs unabated. Places have to grow, and how you balance that water needs versus our need to grow. We've got a huge development on deck in the East Mountains that folks are fighting about. We've got all kinds of different water issues here. But I say again, I've said this for years, it seems like Albuquerque is going to be the fall guy here in how we use our water and how it affects things going downstream. But we're going to have some big changes here.
I think we are, and I'm glad you mentioned big changes, because I'm sitting here, we're talking about this issue, and I hear about San Juan and these other things, and I think about what's happening in Cape Town in South Africa right now, where there's about to be there's already water rationing, there's about to be some pretty phenomenal water rationing.
That's
If
right.
you haven't read about this, please do Google it. And it seems to me that we have our local issue that we need to address, but there is a global water issue. And wouldn't it be fantastic if New Mexico could come up with some technological solutions? I mean, I'm just sitting here. This is such BS coming from me, basically. But like, why do we flush our toilets with water? Why do we, all these things?
That's right.
Why are we using water?
These are fair
for things that
questions.
Maybe there are technological. Now I sound like, but maybe there are technological fixes here that. That we need to view as opportunities instead of just seeing them as threats. And I'm reminded of the phenomenal exhibit that's at the Albuquerque Museum right now. I think it's still there on Africa, and the innovations that are happening there around not just water but also recycling and other resource issues.
To make you feel better, there are some activities of what you're talking about at our national labs. Los Alamos has been talking about for years how to use mining water to turn it not potable, but use it for growing, crops and things. And we have to just look at these kind of things, and
Santa Fe used pricing to reduce water use. We have very expensive water, but if you want to use extra, you pay a lot more. And as a result, we are one of the most frugal cities for water use.
Love it.
In the country, and that's without doing things like having cisterns on every public building or building catchment systems in parks. But they gave everyone in town who wanted one a credit and a low-flow toilet and low-flow shower heads, and they're going to probably come up with the next round of whatever we can do to reduce our water use. So we have to use less, because every bit you don't use is something that someone else can use or that you can put to another.
That's right. There's a
purpose.
fairness issue, and how to motivate people. That's interesting, and we've had
one of the things, Gene, that's
30 seconds.
Yeah, one of the things that's big too to remember as we talk about the Rio Grande is the Aboriginal rights of water for Native Americans on the Rio Grande. And the other issues in New Mexico, there was claims to Aboriginal rights, and some of those were some distant claims, like that river way down there affects us. The Rio Grande runs right through Isleta.
That's right.
And so one of the saving graces for Albuquerque may be the Isleta Pueblo, because they're going to have rights to water that nobody else is going to be able to make claims to. The Supreme Court has already said that. Their rights go back pre anybody else.
And there's a bunch of pueblos upstream.
And there's a
that
bunch
also
of pueblos
have those
upstream
rights.
that, so if they start taking that water and saying, hey, listen, you talk about economic development, then you may wind up having Homer Simpson run for mayor of Santa Fe on the low-flow toilet deal.
Well, we'll see if the federal government's watching us and can figure all this out. That's all the time we have for this week. Remember, if you have any comments about this topic or any others, you can connect with us at NewMexicoInFocus.org or, of course, on Facebook or Twitter.